Hello, it is Kristen and it is day one of the weekend version of the Doors Readathon. So this is a readathon that was created by Meg from Meg with Books, Tasmin from Tea Books and Tasmin, and Emma from Drinking by My Shelf. They're doing a weekend edition, and other than working this morning and working tomorrow morning, I'm free this weekend, so I thought I would participate. So essentially what they do is they post 3 prompts, 1 prompt each, and you pick which prompt you want to do, pick a book that relates to that prompt, and then you read the book, and then depending on what you rate it, they then have more prompts for you to follow. So if you rated it 2 stars, you'd go to the original video that you chose the prompt for, and at the end they have like video links for your rating, so you'd click on the 2-star rating video and it gives you another prompt, and so on and so forth. So out of the first 3 prompts, which I watched this morning just before work, I decided to follow Megan's prompt, which was based on a meme where this girl says, "Let me ask the audience." So Meg said you could interpret that as potentially like posting a poll on your Instagram or Twitter or something and asking your followers to pick your next read for you. So that is what I did. I watched the prompt video, picked my prompt, and then I posted on my Instagram, which is Chris10, so like Chris and then the number 10 _ reads, if you're interested. I posted on my Instagram story saying, I'm doing the 1000 Door Readathon, I'm doing this prompt, so help me choose my next read. And then I gave 2 options. I wanted to start off strong, so I picked 2 books that I have on my TBR that are quite short. So I gave the option of a contemporary middle grade and a comic book graphic novel, and I'm going to see what the results are now. So the winner is contemporary middle grade. So that is what I'm going to be reading, a contemporary middle grade. Let me go get that book. The book I decided to read for this prompt is Melissa's Story, formerly known as George, by Alex Gino. I only recently got this one and I'm very excited to read it. I thought it would be a good one to start off with because I've heard really good things, but also it's quite short and the writing's really big, and I can normally read contemporary, especially young adult or middle grade, very quickly. So yeah, I just wanted to get off to a shooting start. Considering there's only 3 days of the readathon, I want to read as much as possible. So this one is about a young girl called Melissa who wants to star in the school play as Charlotte. They're doing Charlotte's Web. She wants to play Charlotte, but the problem is that while she feels like a girl and she identifies as a girl, everyone else around her sees her as a boy. That's pretty much all I know about it, and I'm very interested to read this story of a young trans girl. I've heard, nothing but good things, and I'm excited to finally experience the story for myself. So I didn't actually read as much of Melissa's story as I had anticipated yesterday because my sister ended up coming around, so I only read the first 2 chapters, I think, and then this morning I've been working, so I've not been able to read now either, but I'm back from work, I've had some lunch, I'm gonna jump in the shower because I just feel a bit after work, so I'm gonna jump in the shower, I'm gonna get cozy in my PJs, so yeah, I'm just gonna change straight into my PJs even though it's only 3 p.m. Gonna have a cup of tea. I'm gonna finish watching the final episode of Exandria Unlimited on Critical Role, because I've been really into that lately, and I haven't managed to watch the final episode yet, so I'm going to finish watching that, and then I'm just going to read and hopefully finish Melissa's story this afternoon, and then I'll be able to see what the prompts are and pick something else to at least start this evening. Those are my plans. Let's do it. I just finished Melissa's story and it was so sweet. Just a really lovely, quick read. I'll discuss it more tomorrow when I film more coherently and it's not nighttime and I have better lighting and stuff. But right now I'm going to watch the other prompt that follows on. I think I'm going to rate this 4 stars, so I need to go back to the original prompt video and follow the link for if I rate it 4 stars and see what the prompt in that video is. And I will, do a proper wrap up of this in the next clip and let you know what I'm going to be reading next. As you saw in the last clip, last night I finished reading Melissa's story. This one was really sweet, very hopeful, and I liked that a lot. I think Alex Gino did a good job of balancing the negative reactions that characters had to Melissa saying that she felt like a girl with the positive reactions. There sadly is such prevalent negativity towards the LGBT community, especially towards trans people. So I think it's important to include that. Not that I think any queer kids are under the impression that life is gonna be perfect and easy for them, but I think it was handled in a very sensitive way. The people that thought Melissa shouldn't be playing Charlotte because she's not really a girl, juxtaposed with the characters who were very supportive and loving towards Melissa and realised that there was a lot about Melissa's life that up until the point where she told them she felt like a girl, that something had always seemed off, something had never quite seemed right about the way Melissa acted, and then when she came out they were like, this suddenly makes sense. It makes sense that you're a girl. And Kelly in particular, Melissa's best friend, I thought was a really lovely, just energetic, bright, supportive character. I think it's so important that young people have these stories, that young queer children have these stories. I know that this is a controversial book. It ends up on a lot of like banned books lists for schools and things, which angers me, because there's nothing wrong with this book or the message it's conveying. I think it's really important for queer kids to have these stories and be able to relate, be able to see themselves in a book and know that they shouldn't be ashamed or unsure of themselves, and having positive, hopeful, optimistic queer stories is important, because a lot of media we see about queer people is mostly features adult characters or older teenagers, or is sad with queer characters dying a lot of the time, or just having very tragic backstories, or tragic things happen to them within the context of like the film or the show. So to have something that's just so much about being yourself and being happy and learning to love yourself at such a young age and having support at a young age, I think is so important to convey that hopeful message. I know that's the word I keep saying, hopeful, but I think that is, my takeaway from this. It's hopeful, it's optimistic, it just made me happy. It just made me happy to read it, and quite emotional. And I hope that trans kids out there, if they're reading this book, are seeing themselves. I know that one book can't represent everyone, but since this is one of the few books that are for kids that deal with LGBT topics, especially trans issues, I hope that anyone, even cis people who want to be good allies, can read this and really see these characters and get something from it. So yes, finished that, really liked it. I gave it 4 stars, which meant that I then followed the prompt for rating it 4 to 5 stars, and the next prompt on that pathway was another Megan prompt, so it was another sort of meme video, and it was a woman finding something scary and talking about being scared and wanting to throw up. So I took that at face value. Sort of my first interpretation of it was something scary, so like a horror novel or anything. But no horror or thrillers or anything like that really on my TBR at the moment, on my physical TBR. So I was wondering what to do. I messaged my sister because she has more horror books, but I wouldn't see her at any point today, and I just wanted to get into reading. Then I remembered that I've been meaning to read for ages The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Stetson, which is a short story that people say is creepy, and I think is, technically like within the horror genre. I believe it's very short, so I'm going to read that. I often forget I mean to read it because I don't have it physically, but I can read it on my laptop. So I'm going to do that and then follow on to the next prompt. So I will update you when I've finished that. I just finished The Yellow Wallpaper. I think I said it was by Charlotte Perkins Stetson, but she's also known as Charlotte Perkins Gilman. I think one of them was a married name and one of them's not, or one of them was like a second married name and one of them was her first married name. I'm not sure. Either way, same person. I also didn't talk about what it was actually about. It's about this woman and her husband who rent this house for 3 months, and she tells her husband that she doesn't feel well, like she feels like there's something wrong with her, but her husband, who's a physician, is saying that there's nothing physically wrong with her. She is in perfectly fine health. She just maybe has like a nervous disposition, and she just needs to rest. And so the whole story is just her getting more and more caught up in her own thoughts, and particularly focusing on this yellow wallpaper that is in the room that she's in, that her husband keeps telling her to rest in. I've already looked at the follow-on prompt, but it's difficult because the question to go forward to the next prompt was, did you find the ending satisfying? And that's a difficult question because this was such a short story that there wasn't enough setup for like a satisfying payoff, because that wasn't the kind of story it was. Everything I thought was going to happen did happen, but again, it was a pretty straightforward narrative. So it's satisfactory in that it went where I thought it was going, but not satisfactory in that I didn't particularly like the ending because it wasn't happy. Not that an ending needs to be happy in order to be satisfactory. See, this is why it's difficult. I don't know. I think I'm going to go with yes. Yes, it was satisfactory in that it did what I thought it was going to do, and it did something which I think narratively made sense within the confines of the story. So I'm going to go with yes, it was satisfying. So I followed on to the next prompt, which was one of Tasmin's, and it was the prompt of the song 96,000 from In the Heights, which is all about like what would you do if you won the lottery kind of thing, and everyone's singing about their dreams and aspirations. I don't know that I have anything that fits that prompt. I'm just searching. Yeah, because I don't think I have anything on my physical TBR, so I'm just looking at what I've got on my Kindle potentially. I'm going to have a perusal and I will let you know if I find anything. I very rarely read on my Kindle. I only read on there every now and then, so I often forget what I actually have on there, so I might find something that fits. I will update when I do that. Okay, I've picked a book for the prompt. My links are tenuous. So the prompt was the song 96,000. Prompts aren't like really strict, they can sort of be interpreted however, so I also interpret this as musicals are something I love. I love musicals. I love musical theatre. I studied musical theatre at university. Musicals just make me so happy and I find them really comforting. And I also find historical romance, I mean romance in general, but particularly historical romance, very comforting. The last Tessa Dare book I read, I really enjoyed and just made me feel like warm and fuzzy and cozy. So I think musicals and historical romance give me, like, they don't entertain me in the same way, but they give me the same sort of feelings, in that they just make me really happy. I wanted something short to read so I could finish one more thing today, so I thought I'd go for a novella. So yeah, I'm going to read How to Catch a Wild Viscount by Tessa Dare. Last night I finished reading How to Catch a Viscount, How to Catch a Wild Viscount, something like that, by Tessa Dare. I enjoyed it. It was fun, it was quick, it was a little bit sexy, and that's all I wanted. That was exactly what I wanted to read at that point. It's made me want to pick up more historical romance again, as always happens whenever I read any historical romance. It just makes me want to read more historical romance. So yeah, that was successful. So I finished that, completed that prompt, however tenuous a link, and yeah, completed the Doors Readathon, which is great. I had a great time. I read a book that I'd recently purchased and really wanted to read. I read something that I've been meaning to read for ages, and I read something that's been on my Kindle for quite a while, so it sort of feels quite productive in that way. So yes, had a great time. Successful readathon. I really hope they do another, like, I think the last one they did was a month-long readathon. But yeah, I wasn't able to participate in it last time, so if they do another longer readathon, even if it's just like a week or 2 weeks or month long, I would definitely join in if I can. Yeah, I will link the channels below for the hosts, because I watch them all anyway. I really enjoy their content, so I'll leave them linked below. Let me know if you took part in this readathon, and if you did, what prompts you did, how many books you read. Yeah, so thank you for watching, and I will see you soon with another video soon. Bye!